How's it going, everybody? This is Griffdog here, and it's time to make some predictions. So this is the official predictions video that I'm going to make for the 2017 NASCAR season. I'm going to make predictions for all three series, and we'll see if they're right or not. What I'll do is about a week after the season is over, I will react to this video, and we'll see if any of my predictions come true or not. So one disclaimer going in, I do have my favorite and not so favorite drivers, but with these predictions, I'm going to be as realistic as possible, looking at people with motivation and people that are getting up there in age and young drivers as well, and what they've accomplished so far and what I predict they will accomplish. So with that all being said, let's get right into it. My first prediction goes across all of the series, and not just Cup, Xfinity, and Trucks, but ARCA as well. I predict that someone's going to flip during speed weeks and across any of the series. Now, just as a note, I'm recording this on the Wednesday before speed week started. So if it's already happened, then yay, I already got one right. But I still predict that someone is going to flip. Now, I imagine the flip is going to go something like this, where a car is going to go to the inside and then it's going to clip and he's going to flip like that. And I'm not saying that Austin Dillon specifically is going to flip, but someone will, and it's going to be, as I said, like that. My second prediction is for the Monster Cup Series, and I predict that Chase Elliott will get not just his first win, but his second win as well. The reason for this is, if Chase Elliott really is the next reincarnation of Jeff Gordon, Chase will get his first career win at the Coke 600 this year. Because if tradition holds true, Jeff Gordon did not get his first win until the year after his rookie season, and it was at the Coke 600. So if it all comes true, then Chase Elliott would also do the same thing, but I also predict he will probably get a second win as well. I don't think it's going to come at the Brickyard 400 this year, but it's going to come sometime later on in the season. My third prediction goes again to the Monster Energy Cup Series, and I predict that Denny Hamlin will win at a short track. What I decree as a short track is either Richmond, Martinsville, or Bristol, a track that is smaller than a mile. Denny really has those tracks set up well, and I definitely think, more specifically Martinsville than any of the other tracks, he will get a win, and because of that, he will be in the playoffs this year. Prediction number 4, I'm not really a fan of this prediction, but again, I want to be realistic, so I predict that there's going to be some loophole found in either the race format or the new points format. I don't know what it is yet, but there's going to be some way that people will garner a lot of points or will somehow win it. Not just will they dominate, but it'll also be boring for the fans. Now, this is one of those predictions I hope I'm wrong on, but at the same time, it's like a lot of other stuff that's happened so far. There have been plot holes found too. Prediction number 5 goes to the Xfinity Series. I predict that in the Xfinity Series, Bubba Wallace will finally get his first career win. Bubba Wallace, as you know, has been in the Xfinity Series for 2 years now, going into his third, in the number 6 Ford for Roush. I definitely think their engine program will kick up a little bit more, and because of that, Bubba will finally find his way to victory lane in his 6th car. And also too, I think this is one of his make or break years for Bubba. Either he is going to do really well this year and will finally get a ride in the Cup Series next year, or he's just going to fall off the face of the NASCAR earth. Prediction number 6 is my first prediction for the Truck Series. I predict that Christopher Bell will have the most wins in the Truck Series with 5. And the reason I say that is because with William Byron leaving and going to the Xfinity Series, Christopher Bell is now the top guy for Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Truck Series. He also has a year of experience underneath his belt, and I definitely think he has what it takes to be a valid competitor. And plus, since he's already won the Chili Bowl, he's already starting off the year on a very high foot. So it's one of those things where you can definitely see him up at the front a lot, and because of that, I could see him moving up into the Xfinity Series in 2018. Prediction number 7, I predict that in 2018, a new track will be raced on in either of the 3 series. And to be more specific, I think the Cup Series will race at Iowa, the Xfinity Series will race at a track they used to race at, but not anymore, and then I think they'll go back to, so like I think Memphis. And in trucks, I predict they'll go back to, or not go back, they will go to a road course, i.e. Lime Rock. The reason I think this is because there's such a high demand for a new track, because the fans have been asking it a lot, and I feel like NASCAR is greatly considering it, and I feel like in 2018 they'll finally get that done. But the question is, where at? Who knows? And I'm aware of that 5-year deal that NASCAR has with tracks so that they stay on the same schedule all the time. But I believe that there will be 1 or 2 exceptions made, and they'll fit in a new track somewhere in the middle. Probably in the summer is what I am betting. Prediction number 8. So number 8, the number that resonates with 8 is the number of truck drivers that are in the playoff this year. So what I'll do is I'll talk about the 8 that are in, and then just a little bit on how I think they will do this year. So the 8 drivers that I have are Matt Crafton, Johnny Sauter, Christopher Bell, Timothy Peters, Grant Enfinger, Noah Gragson, John Hunter Nemechek, and Chase Briscoe. This is in no particular order, by the way. So first of all, I think Matt Crafton will be in the playoff because he still has a strong truck. Nothing has changed about that. He is getting up there in age, but I definitely think he still has a good couple of years still underneath his belt before giving up his ride. Johnny Sauter, as you know, coming off of his championship, is back in the 21 truck. I think he will definitely carry that momentum next year. He will get some wins. It will not be as strong as 2016, but Johnny Sauter will definitely be a threat for the championship. Christopher Bell, as I stated before in this video, he's going to have a heck of a strong season. He'll probably for sure have the most wins out of all Toyotas, and I definitely think he is a viable threat for the championship as well. And honestly, I could see Christopher Bell being the next Tony Stewart, because Christopher Bell has all that dirt experience. And if it can convert into pavement experience, I think it'll work out really strong for Bell. Timothy Peters then, he, like Matt Crafton, has I think a couple of years left. But with Red Horse Racing being a strong partnership with Timothy Peters, I think Peters will have a strong run. I don't think he will get any wins, but via points, Timothy Peters will get on in and could possibly do something in the playoff. Grant Enfinger, coming off of that win at Talladega, I definitely think he is an underestimated driver. He has a lot of potential, racing in the ARCA series for quite a while. I definitely think it is his time to shine. I definitely think he'll get at least a win in the Truck Series, and I think he will be a potential threat for not just the Rookie of the Year, but the Truck Series title as well. Noah Gragson, as you know, is the new rookie at Kyle Busch Motorsports. He kind of replaces William Byron, and he is in that same spot. I don't think Noah Gragson will be at the same level as William Byron in the amount of wins he'll garner, but I think he'll win maybe 2 races, and I definitely think that Noah Gragson will have a potential threat for the title. Not as good as Christopher Bell, but I definitely think Noah will have something to say for the Truck Series Championship. John Hunter Nemechek, I think he's going to improve from last year. I think he'll have more wins this year than from last year, but I don't think he's going to do well in the actual playoff. Like the regular season, he'll be fine, but in the playoffs, I just don't think he will live up to that high expectation, and I just don't think he's going to do so well once the playoff comes around. And then finally, Chase Briscoe. As you know, he is the new driver over at BK Racing, full season, doing some ARCA stuff before. I also think he is an underestimated driver, and I definitely think he will be the highest points finishing Ford this year. Prediction number 9. Daniel Suarez will be the Rookie of the Year. Now, I'm going against the grain on this one because everyone else has said Eric Jones was going to do it. I disagree. If there's any driver I would want to compare Daniel Suarez to, it's Kevin Harvick. It's because they both are put into a spot they were not planned to be, but Daniel Suarez and Kevin Harvick are able to condition themselves rather quickly, and they'll get acclimated to their rides so fast. Because remember, Kevin Harvick was not planned to be in the Cup Series in 2001, yet in his 3rd start, he was able to win at Atlanta. And so I definitely think Daniel Suarez will have that same feat, and I definitely think Daniel Suarez will live up to the high expectations put on him since Carl Edwards left. And then the other thing you gotta consider too is actual engines, because true, Furniture Row does have that partnership with Gibbs. What Daniel Suarez has is the pure Gibbs engines, whereas Furniture Row has, like, they still have the engines from Gibbs, but at least I don't think they're, like, the same. Now, Truex has proved me wrong, but it's like, would you want an engine that was loaned from Gibbs, or just a pure engine that is straight from Gibbs. My 10th prediction goes to the Xfinity Series. I predict that William Byron will win a race. Just one. I definitely think will make a statement in the Xfinity Series, but because of the other Cup drivers racing and with the high competition level this year, I don't think he'll find as much success in the Xfinity Series as the Truck Series, but he'll find some. And so he'll win one race, don't know where, but I think it'll take some time for Byron to really get up there and move up into the Cup Series. So don't be surprised if you see him in the Xfinity Series for a little while. My 11th prediction goes to the Monster Series again, and I predict that Eric Jones will win a race. Now, yes, I already said Suarez will be the Rookie of the Year champion, but what I'm going to say is that Eric Jones does get that one win, and it'll be one or more of those like miracle wins, either a range shortened or a fuel mileage race where he wins. But Daniel Suarez is going to be more consistent in his races, where Eric Jones will have some failure or crash or something like that that'll relegate him back to lower positions. Prediction number 12. Number 12 is the number of Xfinity drivers that will be in the playoff. And so the 12 drivers I have in the Xfinity Series this year, in no particular order too, is Bubba Wallace, Matt Tifft, Cole Custer, Elliott Sadler, Justin Allgaier, William Byron, Michael Annett, Brandon Jones, Brendan Poole, Ryan Reed, Brendan Gaughan, and finally Daniel Hemrick. As I've said before, I think this is going to be Bubba Wallace's best year in the Xfinity Series with the win, and I definitely think he'll be more consistent, and I definitely think he'll be one of the final 8, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's a make or break year, and I definitely think he will make it this year. Matt Tifft, I definitely think he's the next best thing from Gibbs. He's going to make a big statement in the new number 19 car. I would probably say out of all the Xfinity regular drivers, he will have the most wins. And so I definitely think he will be a big threat for the Xfinity Series Championship. Cole Custer is a little iffy because it's a new team, Stewart Haas, and this is the first time they're fielding Xfinity cars for a young guy like Cole Custer, who has been in the Truck Series for a couple of years now. And so the one big factor you got to look at with Cole is, again, the lower downforce, because the entire time Cole has raced with very high downforce. And so it'll be interesting to see how Cole will deal with that lower downforce in the Xfinity Series. Elliott Sadler, I think he's looking for vengeance this year. He pretty much almost had the championship locked up in 2016, but then Suarez took it away from him at the very end. Now that Suarez is in the Cup Series, I think that it's time for Elliott Sadler to step up and we'll finally get that championship, possibly. But you also got to look at that the competition in the Xfinity Series is a lot more intense now. Justin Allgaier, I think he'll have a better season this year than last year, and I think he will garner a win, but I don't think that he will win the championship. But I mean, again, he'll have a good season. William Byron, already talked about him. He will have one win, but I do expect to see him in the Xfinity Series for a while. Michael Annett, I don't think he'll win a race, but I think he'll get into the playoff on points. I think he'll be knocked out of the playoffs after one round. Brandon Jones has learned quite a bit since last year in the Xfinity Series, but so like he'll have a better season, but I don't think it'll be as good as what people would expect. And so I would give Brandon one more year after 2017, but I just don't think he'll go anywhere in the Cup Series. Brendan Poole, who's been kind of like the driver for Ganassi, has really made a difference in 2016. I think he'll make more of a difference in 2017, and I could see him winning a race. Ryan Reed, with his Lilly Diabetes sponsorship, it's another, I think, make or break year for him. And so I think if he does win a race and does some good this year in the Xfinity Series, he will move up into the Cup Series in 2018, but if he doesn't make with the lower downforce, don't be surprised if you don't see him much longer in NASCAR in general. Brendan Gaughan, I think this is one of his final years in NASCAR because I just feel like this year he's going to be disappointed with his points championship run, and in the playoff he's not going to do so well. So I could definitely say maybe 2-3 years or something like that, and then Brendan is probably going to be out of NASCAR as well. And then finally, Daniel Hemrick. He is the new driver over at RCR in the 21 car. Like Michael Annett, I could see him getting into the playoff based on points, but I could also see him getting knocked out of round 1 of the Xfinity playoffs as well. All right, so prediction number 13 goes to the Monster Cup Series. I predict that Joey Logano will have the most wins this season. Logano, I believe, is at the peak of his career right now, and I definitely think he'll have a lot of success. I can't put a number on how many wins he will have, but for sure it will be the most. Prediction number 14 is going to go to the Xfinity Series. I think someone will win their first race ever at Iowa. Now, it could either be a rookie or a veteran who's never won before in Xfinity Series, but I think they will break through, and at either of the Iowa races, they will finally do so. Prediction number 15 is a little weird one, but in the Truck Series, the closest margin of victory will come at Talladega. I just have this feeling that Talladega this year will have a very close finish, side by side, and so I predict the closest margin of victory will come at there. Daytona won't be bad either, but Talladega, because of how wide it is, I think we'll have that. So prediction number 16, I'm going to stick on this prediction right now for a while because I think you guys know where this one is going to go. So prediction 16, there are 16 drivers that usually qualify for the Cup Series playoff, and so I will tell you who each of them is. And again, in no particular order, it is Chase Elliott, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, Daniel Suarez, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Matt Kenseth, Ryan Blaney, and Eric Jones. Chase Elliott, as I mentioned earlier in this video, I think he will have 2 wins, and because of that, he will qualify into the playoff, and I definitely see him being in the round of 8 for sure. Dale Earnhardt Jr., I think he will have a good comeback year. Not a great year, but like he's not going to win all the time, but I can see him getting a couple of wins. Jimmy Johnson, I don't see him having a good year, but he'll magically find at least 1 win, and he'll find some way to get into the playoff once again. Kyle Busch, I definitely think he's at the peak of his career as well, and so I think he'll continue to do well, and he'll easily be in the playoff. Kyle Larson, I think he'll have his best year so far in 2017. Kyle has definitely shown that he's a racer, and with this lower downforce, I think this is going to really help Kyle Larson out. So definitely look out for him for being a potential championship contender this year. Denny Hamlin, as I said before, he'll continue to do well on short tracks. I don't think he'll do so well on intermediate tracks this year, but again, I've been wrong many times before. Brad Keselowski, he's just there. Like, he'll do his winning, he'll just do the racing stuff, but it's nothing too spectacular. Like, I definitely can see him getting into around a 12, but nothing more after that. Joey Logano, meanwhile, I think he'll continue to impress and he'll continue to do well. Just like Kyle Busch, Joey is definitely at the peak of his career, and I definitely can see him having a lot of success this year. Austin Dillon, I can see Austin Dillon finally winning a race this year. Don't know where, but I can definitely see him doing it, and it'll be the first time that RCR has won a race since 2013. Daniel Suarez, as I mentioned before, he'll be one of the few drivers that will get in by points. And so because of that, Suarez, I definitely could see him do some good, but he'll do some good without winning a race. Ricky Stenhouse. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but every year there seems to be that one winner that seems to join in on the fun who you really wouldn't think would be in. Like last year, we had Chris Buescher. This year, I think it's going to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's going to magically find a win at some track, and he'll be in the playoff because of that. Which will be great for Roush because it's the first time since 2014 that a Roush car has both won and been in the chase. Kevin Harvick. Now, if you heard very closely, Kevin Harvick is the only Stewart-Haas car that I predict to be in the playoff. Clint Bowyer will have an okay year. Like, he'll definitely be better than 2016, but it's nothing chase-worthy levels. And so because of that, both him and as well as Kurt Busch, I just don't see Kurt doing so well. I could definitely see him not winning a race at all. Martin Truex Jr., he'll continue his winning ways. I could see him winning 3 races this year, and one of them will be at a 1.5-mile racetrack. Matt Kenseth, I can see him being one of those quiet drivers throughout the regular season, but then once the playoffs start, then he's going to hit hard, and he's going to win a lot, and he'll be a major threat for the championship at Homestead. Finally, Ryan Blaney will finally get a win for Wood Brothers. Don't know which racetrack, but I could definitely see Ryan Blaney finally getting it done, and he will be in the playoff. And finally, Eric Jones, as I've mentioned before, he will win a race, and that win will punch his ticket in to the playoff as well. So now getting to the end. The final 4 predictions, I'm going to predict some winners. So prediction number 17 is who I have for the Daytona 500, and it's Kyle Larson. I think Kyle has learned a lot about the super speedway traits, and I know he's wrecked a lot, and I know he's flown in the air. I finally think he has what it takes to hold the checker flag and fly it in the wind at Daytona. Prediction number 18 is who I think will be the Truck Series champion. Now, looking at everyone's equipment and what drivers are competing and looking at history, I predict that Christopher Bell will win the championship. I think you'll have a tough time at Homestead holding off the championship, but I definitely think Christopher Bell will have it in the end and will win the championship for Kyle Busch Motorsports. And because of that, he will have an Xfinity ride, and I can definitely see good things happening for him in 2018. For the Xfinity Series, it's a little bit tougher for prediction number 19. There's definitely a lot more competition this year, and there's a lot of good drivers that can potentially win it. And so the bigger factors you want to look at is experience with lower downforce and to see who actually really has that. All the racetracks that the Xfinity guys race on with both Cup guys as well as standalone races. And you also want to look at what happened last year. And so putting all those together, I predict that Elliott Sadler will finally get his first championship in the Xfinity Series. I definitely think Elliott Sadler is going to have that mindset of revenge, but not in the revenge sense of like actually crashing someone, but just going out, seeking out, winning that championship. I definitely believe Elliott Sadler will have what it takes to win the championship. And finally, the first ever Monster Cup Series champion. Who do I think will do it? Well, again, you want to look at experience, all the drivers that are competing this year, the racetracks, and how people fare in the playoffs. And so putting it all together, I predict, and this is a two-parter, I predict that Matt Kenseth will win the championship, and I predict that he will retire once he wins the championship. Because the way I see it panning out at Homestead is that he and Joey Logano are going to battle it out for the championship. Matt Kenseth is going to bump and run him through turn 3 and 4, and Kenseth will take the win and the championship at Homestead. And then once he does that, he will retire, Eric Jones will take over the 20 ride, and life moves on. So there you have it. Those are my 20 predictions for the 2017 NASCAR season. Let me know in the comments below what predictions you have. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? And if you do disagree, please explain why. I'm kind of curious as to why you think otherwise. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to look out for other videos during Speed Weeks, and I hope you all enjoy it. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, I will see you next time.